Good afternoon, class. I wanted to take some time to go over the theories we learned this week, being the solution-focused theory and the narrative theory. These are two postmodern approaches, and I guess that was what was intriguing to me, is just I'm used to studying theories that have been around for decades, some of them centuries, like looking back at the Freudian and Adlerian theory. These are older theories that are traditionally based. So reading about these was kind of interesting. And I noticed a lot of similarities between the two. Excuse me while I kind of read off some notes that I've taken. But they both operate out of a not knowing position, which was interesting for me to think of the client being the expert and the therapist, kind of being the one that doesn't know. Because as a person that's been to therapy before, just imagining going in and the therapist, telling me that I'm the expert, I'm not sure how I'd feel about that. So I also listed that as one of a possible limitation of the theories, is that the client may feel like the therapist is incompetent in a way, or, unable to help them if the therapist thinks that the client is the expert. But that, obviously works out in some cases. Corey did give an explanation of what that meant. Like I just mentioned, that the client becomes the expert on their own life. And this is very different from traditional therapies where the client sees the therapist as the expert. Let's see. But this could be a strength, for the client to feel like they're in charge of their future. And, once they see something they've accomplished as far as setting a goal and going back and seeing that they did that, this can be empowering for them to know that they took charge of their own, problem and changing that behavior. So I do see where this could be a good thing. I did list it also as a strength and a weakness. Both theories also view people optimistically, assuming that they're competent and have the ability to change themselves and the resources. This could also be a strength or a weakness, because some clients may not, have the competency to change their own life in the way that the therapist is expecting them to, stating that, all people have these abilities, but do they really? Do all people have them? Solution focused focuses on the solution and disregards, the person as a whole. While narrative focuses on not really the problem, but it does attend to the problem and helping the client separate themselves, to realize that the client may have a problem, but they are not the problem. It's kind of like I think of myself as a mother, that I am a mom, but I'm also many other things than just a mom. And sometimes it becomes easy to focus on that one thing, like my duties as a mother make me feel like I'm just a mom. But I'm also Robin, who enjoys photography and kayaking and other things like that. And I think that this narrative theory kind of approaches it in a similar way, helping the client deconstruct the problem, remove themselves from the problem so they can see it as a separate thing and not who they are or the only thing that's going on right then. Something else similar is that they're both very brief, and it seems like the similarities and differences can also be listed as the limitations and strengths in most of these theories that I'm noticing. But they're brief, both focus on the future. And so biblically, I felt like this is something that we've seen in past theories, and it does align to kind of forget the past. I had written down a verse. It was Isaiah 43:18, which says to forget the former things and do not dwell on them. Don't dwell on the past. So these theories kind of are compatible with that mentality that the past is gone. And again, in 2 Corinthians 5:17, the old is gone and the new is here. So sometimes that can be hard because we think of who we are as a product of our past. But who we are as Christians, as a new life, and the past, it no longer matters. And that can be a hard concept to kind of deal with. I know for me personally, I lived my life for 17 years identifying, one way with a lifestyle and a community. And that was a big part of my life. And then I recently, gave my life to God, and that's not who I am anymore. And that's been really hard for my family and for my friends who still want to identify me by my past. But I'm like, wait, look, I'm a woman of God now. I'm not that woman that was married to a woman for many years. So it even is hard for me some days to remember that that's gone. The old is gone and the new is here. So I think that as far as biblical compatibility for the theories, it aligns there. It does have maybe a too optimistic view and not giving any attention to the fact that humans, are inherently sinful, and that to change their lives in the way that the theories are speaking, to do those things, you have to become new in Christ. Like for the renewal of your mind and to truly change, you do need, you need Christ. It's something I learned the hard way. But as far as empirical research, it didn't seem like either theory really focused on evidence-based research. But considering that they are theories that set goals and go by outcome, that they could be measurable. Because if you're going into therapy, you're setting these goals, you're achieving them, that's measurable. Like you're actually changing behavior. But as far as evidence to support it, they both lack, as with many of these theories. Thank you.